Let me guess, sometime during your day today, you'll have looked at your phone or the news, read a newspaper and gone, what the fuck's happening in the world? Well, that's what today's talk about is. I wanted to do this video for a long time. It's based on an article I did on SUBSTACK quite a while back, and I thought it's time just to take you through the steps of how you can build more resilience in a world that is just not going to change. This is the new normal now. We know the world we grew up in, the world we were raised into, is gone. For those who don't know, my name is Wayne Marinovich. I'm a resilience life coach on this channel called A Resilient Path, a channel which really is about embracing the change that's coming and building strength to face it. I think the easiest way to start off with was just to go through what resilience is, and this is really an inner toughness, but not about strength, more about perseverance when you fall, how you get up. It's about something which I call bounce back ability. Been having to get up after you've fallen down, learn, change, make any changes, and then carry on. I think this is the greatest thing we can do. So just to start off with a description that I ran through Gemini of what resilience is. Resilience in this turbulent world is the dynamic capacity to consciously adapt and thrive amidst adversity, integrating a strong sense of self, an empowered mindset, balanced emotion and physical states, and the wisdom to discern and release what is beyond your control, while actively forging a compelling future vision. I think despite all the developments in the world that are really hitting us, we've had incredible amount of technology, the advancement we've had in the last 100 years, developments across all areas of our world. And I think we tend to forget this. We've taken it for granted. And even though we've had these incredible technological developments, we see more lost, more adrift. And we really are seeing population numbers with an inability to cope with modern living, because that's what it is. This is modern life that we're in. But more and more you look around, you can see that people are struggling to cope. And it's sad. It really is. So despite all these advancements, we've also become complacent and soft. I think there's no way to sugarcoat it. We've become soft and fat on our couches of complacency, let's call it. And I think so. How do you change all of that? Well, personally, there are lots of ways. There really are. And as a coach, I coach many different ways. But what I wanted to talk to you about on this one was really 10 steps or 10 things you can do to build resilience in a world that's going to keep changing. So we'll just start off. I'll just read through them quickly. First one is to challenge your perspective. Embrace change and uncertainty. Accept what you can't control. Build a support system in the real world. Embrace challenges. Practice self-care. Develop gratitude, which is one of my favorites. Focus on the present, using mindfulness and self-awareness. Learn from setbacks and how to cultivate a positive outlook. Celebrate small wins. And if you're really struggling, seek professional help. So just to go through them one at a time, I'll go through them quite quickly, just to give you a little bit of my thoughts on how you can, affect some of these changes in your world. I would say if you can just focus on one of them, right? Don't try and do them all every day. We're just not built like that as humans. So pick one that you're really struggling with. Pick the tough one first. That's always a good way to go. I think the first one is challenge your perspective by embracing change and uncertainty. Our brains are incredible things. We have these old parts of the brain in the limbic system and there's a part called the amygdala, which sole purpose over evolving over thousands of years is to look for challenges, to look for threats, to keep us safe. And I think that is something that has helped us as a species to evolve. It helps many species to evolve. But the real fact is we don't have threats. There are no big furry beasts with long teeth that are walking our streets or marauding tribes that are coming, take our grain and steal our women, kind of stuff. We just don't have that it's a kind of threat in our world. And so our brain is being lying to us because it's constantly looking for threats. It starts to embellish little threats that we shouldn't really be thinking about. Yes, things happen to us, but they aren't threats. They everyday life, happen, little things that happen to us go against us. So, we need to stop seeing those threats and fight against our brain and understand that our brain lies to us. And this is the thing that, when you challenge your perspective on the world, at the way you see it, and understand that these challenges are real in some ways, but they're also chances to grow, and it's a chance to, to change, so you can face adversity or uncertainty in a better way. And I think that change of perspective is one of the most vital things you can start with. Another one is, obviously, the second one is accept what you can't control. This is tough for anybody, right? We're inundated with information 24/7. And I think, a key aspect of mental resilience is where you can discern between what you can control and what you can't control. We can't control the economy. Yeah, we participate in it. We might contribute our small. We can't control the economy. We can't control wars. We've been taken to war many times in the last 30, 40 years, even though we had protests to not go to war. So, we can't control that. Politics, we can't control it, even though we think we can by voting. It's all predetermined. It's a lot of it. It's a game that I won't go into now, but, we know this. It's rigged against us. And so we need to understand that your only thing you can really control are your daily habits. And one of those habits is how you respond to things. So when you see, an article that really riles you up, or somebody in an article says something, and it might be your politician that you love to hate the most, well, you can't control that. You can't control him or her saying anything. That control is something you'll hear of quite often called agency, right? Agency is this great thing which is taking control of your life in all different ways across many aspects. So, your personal, relationships, finance, career. The sooner you can take control of it so that you determine the outcome of your own life and forget about what's happening, the easier your life becomes. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but you know what I'm saying. I think the third one is something more vital now than ever, and that's to build a support system in the real world. We're so hooked online with everything we do. We have phones in our pockets now with AI that are addictive dopamine feeders to us. And so we live looking at these little screens and think it's real life. We have young generations that are born into an internet world, and they've forgotten that we're social creatures, that we need one another. We need interaction on a daily basis with other human beings, not over a screen. So seek out positive people in the world, people who are uplifting kind of people, who are strong or positive, those who will champion your success 100%, but will also step in and step up when you're failing or when you're struggling. You don't get that with online support. I'm sorry, but sending an unhappy face or a heart emoji when somebody's struggling, or a thumbs up when somebody's had success, is not human interaction. That's been laziness. That is how bad we have become at interacting with one another. And this is one of the areas that we really, really are going to struggle. Embrace challenges. This is one of my favorite ones. It comes off, I read a book a long time ago, Ryan Holiday, called Obstacle is the Way. I highly recommend it. To embrace the obstacles in your life. See them not as challenges or the obstacle, but see them as a chance to grow, a chance to power through the obstacle, to, I know it's counterintuitive and sort of goes against our natural instinct to avoid suffering and pain. And I think that's where we tend to go where there's least amount of pain or uncertainty. But you can't keep doing it in life. You have to face things every day, your fears, the problems you have there. The long email list, the unhappy partner, the failing business, or whatever. Those are the obstacles that you have to change. Bearing in mind that we learn through failure, not through success. Okay, so I always say, chase failure, chase it. If you have a chance to fail, embrace it, because you will learn more on that. Yeah, you might fail. You might feel a bit of embarrassment if you try and, become an entrepreneur and your first business fails. Well, okay, good. So what? You go back to your old job, recuperate, get some money, start another one, or change the one that didn't work a little bit. It comes around to, a fixed versus a growth mindset. And this is something I talk about and coach about. Mindset's so vital, but a fixed mindset is somebody who looks around and goes, I have all the intellect or intelligence that I'll ever have. It's a finite thing, so therefore I can't grow. I can't fail because it'd be embarrassing, because I can't get better, and I don't want people to know this. Whereas a growth mindset is, yes, I don't know right now, but I will try anyway, and I'll fail, and then I'll learn. And so I'll grow and keep growing and growing through failure. Whereas a fixed mindset doesn't try anymore because they don't want to fail. I see so many people nursing failed dreams because of their fear to start and fail. That's it. Any dream, any endeavor you go onto, go in it with the outlook to fail first. Just say, right, well, I'm probably going to fail, but you know what? I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to give it my best, and I'm going to learn. I'm using it as a learning opportunity. So on the back of that, fifth step or fifth point was, practicing self-care. This is around your physical state, keeping healthy. I know it's, we don't want to hear this in the modern world. We have so much distraction and comfort, and we just want to lie around and Netflix and chill, okay? But strength and weight training is vital for longevity and mobility. There is no two ways about it. And now I'm not talking about cardio. I'm sorry for all you lovely runners out there who think this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Running is good for your heart and good for your lungs. It's a great thing to exercise them. But long term, running destroys bones, it destroys joints, and when you get to your 60s, 70s, and 80s, you will pay for it with as dearly as people who drink too much will pay when their livers give in. Okay, it's that kind of equation you've got to think of. Get strong, get into a gym, lift some weights, men and women. Don't be afraid, do it. Get a personal trainer, exercise. Also, prioritize your sleep. 7 hours, 8 hours a day minimum. That is a super biohack. Hydration, obvious, get your 2 liters of water in. I've got a water bottle right next to me. Hit it, get it done. Good food, learn to cook. Grow your skills in that way that you can actually prepare a meal from scratch. There's a lot of people who just don't. Well, guess what? That's lazy and it's not good for you. So get moving on that. Your physical state's important. Why? Because it's your hardware, right? It's your body is your hardware, your brain is your software. So for your software to work properly, and as anybody knows, whether you run a camera, a phone, or a laptop, if your hardware fails, it doesn't matter how good your software is. If your body fails, it doesn't matter how good your mind is. You're going to struggle. Another one, develop gratitude. Vital, incredibly good one. Just to start every morning with when your feet touch the ground and be grateful that you are one of the lucky people to wake up, because millions around the world, sadly, will not rise from that slumber. Old age, sickness, people will die every night, and you get up and be grateful for it. It's the first bit of joy. You need to pat yourself on the back and go, awesome, I'm here. It's good and to be alive. Another thing about gratitude is it's a great way to conquer fear. So when you've got a lot of stress on you, a lot of things, just throw in that, start the sentence off with, instead of saying, oh my God, I've got a terrible, presentation to do today. It's really tough. It's a tough subject. I'm in front of senior board members. Start that off with saying, I'm so lucky that I'm able to do this tough job. And that's how helps you overcome fear. Number 7, focus on the present, right? Mindfulness. As I said before, your brain prioritizes everything to keep you safe from threats. So its sole job is to keep you safe. Well, conversely, there's nothing in your brain that equates to that sort of physical thing in your brain that builds a happiness. There's nothing in the brain's job is to make you happy. So you have to make yourself happy. And one thing you need to do is not to get caught in the past. Okay, it's a rear view mirror. It's a little thing that you look behind you. Don't get caught up in the future either, right? The future hasn't happened yet. Anything can happen. You're the full front of the mirror that you look for out the car. It looks wonderful, right? Future can dissolve in an instant. So be present with what you are in life, and control those thoughts. Be mindful of your thoughts around this. So when you're feeling negative, or you have limiting beliefs coming in, and these can be anything, learn to quieten your mind. Start doing some meditation, learn some breath work. If you don't know how, there's incredible apps that will guide you through this. It's not difficult in a world where technology has made it so easy to learn. It's about you choosing to do it. Number 8 is learn from setbacks and then cultivate a positive outlook. And I know this is tough. We don't like failure. We don't like pain. And so we don't like being angry because somebody's hurt us. But the best thing is to do is to grieve and to let yourself feel the anger. Don't push it away. That's counterproductive as well. So just understand that these are just a temporary present state, but learn from it. And there is no such thing as failure. All right. I know it's as cliched as all hell. There are only lessons. If you see it that way, that's a growth mindset. You will be a better person for it. You will be stronger because you understand failure is not the end. It is just a little signpost along the way. If you envisage a road with railings on either end, and you just tap up against the side, knowing that, okay, I need to realign my direction to keep going forward. And I think this is so vital when being present is understanding where you are in the world. It's not about denying reality or denying the fact that this morning you've got to pay bills or drop the kids off at school. That's being in reality. That's the present day. It's not the same as being present. Being present is about gratitude. It's about looking around and going, everything's going to happen to me, good and bad, and I embrace both. And I think that's what part of what resilience is understanding that you're going to get knocked down. Celebrate small wins. Always reminds me of a quote by Tony Robbins, which says, "We are not supposed to sit at the table of success too long, or we get bored and fat." I mean, this is sort of what I've been talking about, through some of the points here. Is, everything we do has a moment in time, and then we move forward. It's why people sometimes get stuck in the past, or the present, and they get stuck in a way of life, and they can't break out. They lose purpose. A lot of it is because it's not a crisis of not knowing, of laziness or anything. It usually is a crisis of completion. We've completed something, but we haven't moved on from it. Usain Bolt trains 10,000 hours to run. Trained 10,000 hours to run 10 seconds. He had the euphoria for 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, an hour of getting a world record, and then that dissipates. The happiness, the thrill, the euphoria goes. And what's next? If you don't have that what's next, you're going to be in trouble. I think patting yourself on the back is a great thing. I do this very often in the terms of, when I was 18, I set up a bucket list. That's like a lot of young kids do. And I have a long list. And then what I did in my 30s, I created a success list. And this was just the invert. So as soon as I tick it off, move it onto the success list. And occasionally I'll look at that and I'll go through it and go, wow, I've done so much in my life. And that is a great motivator to go, okay, but I can still do more. Because sometimes you'll spend a year or two where you don't achieve much. And you looking at that success list suddenly fires you up, to go, okay, I need to get back to this. I need to pat myself on the back that I did it all. Now, what's on my bucket list that I can go and achieve, and how do I get there? And I think the last one, the 10th one, is seeking professional help if you need it. As I said, the world as we know it is gone. We were born into a certain world, all of us, all the generations that are alive today. And the world has changed. The normal that we had, or that people perceive that we had, is gone, and it's not coming back. And I think there's only more turbulence coming. This is what the whole concept of a resilient path is. And even the resilience life coaching. It's around, life coaching is very it's isolated to certain buckets of your life to help you get a job, to help you find a partner, to set goals, but it doesn't look at the wider concept of the macro analysis and things like that. So people are struggling to find their place because so much is changing so fast. If you look how technologically we're racing ahead with never mind the internet, we now have AI, which is very uncertain. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. But the pace of change is where people are struggling. And this is the difference between coaching and therapy. I am a coach. I'm not a therapist. I'm not here for you to come and cry on my shoulder. That's for therapists or your mom or your wife, your husband. I'm here to jump in the car next to you as a coach and say, right, what are your goals? Okay, let's look at the world ahead. And as a resilience life coach, that is where I come in. 30 years of macro analysis in economics and environment, energy and geopolitics. I study that stuff every day for a couple of hours. I find it fascinating. Sad, but maybe that's just the nerd in me. But my goal is to get you to set up a list of goals, and then we look at how does that fit in with some of the darkening clouds that are on our horizon, and then how do you change? How do you pivot? How do you build some resilience, because you might not be tough enough to actually see some of your goals through in the face of some of these changes. I think the final one, there was a final. There's a bonus one which I have on the article, which I won't go into too much detail because I'm going to do another video on it and this is, of all the things that I look at in the world, I think the greatest threat to humanity is the absolute lack of critical thinking. And I've expanded my thinking in the last few months as, even judgment. We no longer have judgment. And here are just some ways which I know I'm changing the way I see and judge things. And the first thing is I stay away from mainstream media pretty much all the time now, because they, excuse me, they really just are entertainment shows now, with a massive amount of editorial bias. Doesn't matter left or right. So you're never going to get a full picture. I tend to follow through things like X or SUBSTACK, individualist journalists, individual thinkers, and then through them I will find other people who have the same thinking as I do, but also have opposing thoughts, because you have to have that balance. And I think if you can just build yourself your own little media, which is what we do anyway, and find people who give you good unbiased opinions. So stay away from mainstream media. Seriously, it's just not worth even thinking about, because you're never going to be able to see through all of the editorial bias. They just are so good at it now. Question everything you see, everything you read, everything that happens on your phone. I'm a natural contrarian, so it's easier for me. When I see something, I tend to be a little bit doubtful when I see it, until I see a second or third or fourth corroborating story or source going, then I'll believe it. If I see a video of this person doing this and this, I don't share it straight away. I'll go and look, what corroborates us, what other sources are sharing it. Then I go, okay, this is now higher probability that it's true, because with AI and deep fakes and all these things coming in, it's going to get tougher to judge what is real and what is not. I think something you have to realize is every expert you see out there on mainstream media is paid, right? They get paid for their opinions, and they will therefore slot in and be hired by people that are in a similar kind of echo chamber. So if it's right, it's left, it's rich, it's poor, it doesn't matter. If it's Marxist or capitalist, anything like that, they will hire people who will endorse and get paid for it. So you don't always get the true full picture from that expert. You're getting a partial thing. Now, if you understand that, it's a different story. But when you're starting out, just be critical of that. Don't believe them. And I think also, like I said before, follow people who you disagree with. I have a few reporters and journalists that I follow who I don't agree with their politics, but I do watch them religiously, because they keep me balanced. I might, if I start getting dragged into an echo chamber, they will the ones that'll pull me back to question, okay, is this where I want to be or not? So I've gone on for a bit. These are just, as I said, trying to build resilience. Resilience is very simply, it's not strength or toughness, it's bounce back ability. Hopefully these things help. Rewatch it. Give the video a like. Please leave any comments you want. Subscribe so you know what's coming next when the next video drops. And as always, I wish you peace and great beer.